Hey everybody, this is Jazz and we're aging with pizzazz. Today we're talking about marriage versus your job. And we're going to get right into it. Thought about this a lot this week as I had friends that had some bumps in their relationships this week and felt the need to express some irritation. And I get it because I've been there. And I myself had some work bumps over the last week. So I was feeling frustrated. So I decided the difference between marriage versus your job. Both of them require dedication. Both of them require time. And both of them require hard work. So jobs. You apply for a job and you know what you're getting into. You know what the hours are going to be because usually it tells you Monday through Friday, 7 days, full-time, part-time, starting rate, all of this stuff. So you get your job and you pretty much know what you're going for. You know, I like to work with children, so I just looked for jobs that entailed working with children. And then they offer you, an amount, and you go home and you decide whether that amount's going to work for you. And then you do your best, I hope. You're going to do your best at work. You're going to show up on time or a little bit early. Some people like to come in early. And you know what's expected of you because that's why you got hired and they tell you most of the time. And you know what you're going to get paid. So you do your best. You get there early or not. You show up right on time as long as you're not late. And you do the best that you can, with hopes that after a set amount of time, you will receive A, a raise, or B, a simple hey, you're doing a great job. Good job. And then if you don't like it, if you're unhappy at your job, you hopefully are responsible enough to find another job, give your 2 weeks, and tell your boss this is the situation. Sometimes when you speak to your boss, they can alleviate the situation, offer you more money, fix your problem, and then you either stay or you leave. And if you have a conflict at work, you have somebody else that takes care of it for you. You go and you talk to them and you say, this person is bothering me, or I am feeling X, Y, and Z about working with X, Y, and Z. And usually you have a higher up who's going to take care of that for you. So now we can fast forward to your marriage. So you walk in, you meet this guy, he makes your heart flutter, and he makes you happy, and you have a great time with him. And I don't know if they do that now because I haven't dated in a long time, nor do I have any desire to date again. But you don't sit there on your second date and say okay, what are your expectations for the next 60 years? Because you have no idea what's going to happen. You are going to have your basic conversation. Do you want to have kids? Yeah, I want to have kids. Do you want to live in the suburbs? No, I want to live in the city. Do you want to work? Yes, I want to work. When we have kids, do you want to stay home? No, I want to stay home. You're going to have those simple conversations, but nobody prepares you for the shit and all the bumps and the potholes and the cliffs, where you're hanging off of it. And for the most part, there really isn't anybody really to go to other than your spouse when you're in a marriage, right? Unless you've gotten so far into the shithole that you now need a counselor, who are you going to talk to about all of this stuff? That's going to solve something. Whereas, at work, you have a conflict, you go to your boss, hopefully they solve it. If not, like I said, you quit. With a marriage, it's not that simple. Who are you going to talk to? So you're going to pay $100 an hour. I guess that's minimal. It's probably crazy now. And you're going to talk to a stranger who doesn't live with your spouse, who doesn't live with you, who doesn't see everything that you see. And you're going to, hope that they work it out. And maybe they won't. So that's a little bit crazy. And then who's going to help work it out? You're going to work it out. So I guess a job for me, I think is easier because a marriage is so much trickier and you don't know what's coming. You don't know. There's so many things that can happen. I'm just looking over the notes that I made over the years. So many bumps in the road. Let me see. What were my tops? You got little white lies that become a problem because then you don't trust anybody. You have the loss of a job and being prepared for that. If somebody loses a job financially, how are you going to be stable? You have household issues that you don't discuss when you're dating. You're not going to tell me that on the third date, you're going to be like, hey, so if the furnace goes in the house we buy in 10 years, what are we going to do? That's not discussed. What else? New behaviors and or addictions that come in and out of your life. You might have somebody that's completely healthy when you're dating, and then all of a sudden they start drinking because of friends or work or family. Maybe they start doing drugs. Maybe that you have that comes in, and that's not discussed on your third date. And then, of course, there's the big affair and the big cheating. Nobody's going to say what if, because if you're saying that on date 3, ugh. So there's a lot of bumps that come in and a lot of stuff that happens in a marriage that you cannot prepare for. So how do you properly prepare to get married? And then when you're at this stage, have you just accepted stuff? I wasn't always the kind of person who believed in change. My marriage has shown me a tremendous amount of possibility with change. And I do believe that people can change. I think it takes a certain person to change. And I think it takes a lot of work. I think marriage takes a lot of work. And you can't just give up. You cannot just say, give your 2 weeks. Hey, babe, you know what? 2 more weeks, I'm out. I'm going to, be done. You have to actually work at it. And if you're willing to work at it, my personal belief is it's going to work. So I think a marriage is 20 times harder than a job. Now, I'm sure there are jobs that are very difficult. My jobs and my life that I have had have not been the hardest things ever. From babysitter to nanny to dance helper to dance teacher to retail worker and now to school education. There's been some struggles, but I don't feel like they come close to the things that I have worked on with my marriage. So I don't know, take some time when you're in a marriage and take some time for, I don't know, what can I say? To touch base often. My husband and I, we bowl on Wednesday nights, and the drive is a good 30 minutes. And there's a lot of conversation that happens in the 30 minutes on the way, and there's a lot of conversation that happens on the way home. Talk to your spouse. Watching a movie with your spouse isn't always quality time. I'm guilty of it. I do it all the time. Take some time and talk to them. Ask the question that you are scared to ask. Are you happy? Are there things that I do that you might find super irritating now? Because we change. We change all the time. I know women change a lot, and I'm watching men change too. And you want to, when your love is so strong, you want to fight to keep it. So you have to kind of bend sometimes, and you have to be flexible, and you have to kind of accept that certain things sometimes just aren't going to go. And so I think that I've already answered it. I believe that marriage is much harder than a job. But I don't want people to give up. I'm not the kind of person to tell you to give up. Fight for it if you want it, and make sure that your spouse wants to fight for it too. And when you're young, because I have a couple of young friends, to start right away, discuss things right away. Already I have some friends that are aggravated with early behaviors and childhood, taking care of the kid and making time for yourself. I've been with my husband since 1995. We got married in 2003, and we have hit potholes, holy cliffs, bumps, speed bumps, I don't know, mountains. We have been through a lot. And I can say I'm super secure and I'm super strong and happy with my marriage and my husband. But I can tell you, getting over those bumps, it's kind of easy to just turn around and walk away. And Some of them are unacceptable to some people, some bumps that people hit, and that's nobody else's business but your own. If you want to work it out with your spouse, go for it. If you want to turn around and walk away, go for it. If your friend makes a choice that you don't agree with, support them, be there for them, because at the end of the day, you're going to end up losing a friendship. And that sucks. I've been there. It sucks. So take care of your marriage. Take time for yourselves together as a couple. If you have multiple children, that's great. Good for you. I'm proud of you. You've made a big family. Your house is filled with love. But you have to have a date night without your children. You have to remember who you are without your children. Without mom and dad, who are you? Or mom and mom, or dad and dad, or aunt and uncle. Who are you without the children? Because you were at some point something. So you have to nurse that. And I strongly believe in that. And you have to take time for yourself. And you have to try not to attack each other. I find I'm super comfortable with my husband. And he's super comfortable with me. And when something's going wrong, we bite a little bit. And then we take a minute and we realize that it's got nothing to do with the other person. And I find that very common with parenting. My kids are super, super comfortable with me. They're comfortable talking to me about everything, telling me everything. So when something bothers them that has nothing to do with me, I am the person that gets barked at and yelled at. And later on, they'll come around and say, okay, this is why I'm mad. I'm really upset this happened. So make sure you take the time to discuss everything. And recognize that, there's a lot of things to discuss in a marriage. There is a lot of compromise. There's a lot of talking. Looking at my notes in my little marble notebook here. Listening, trying to see the other side. That's something I've started recently is, let me put myself in his shoes. Let me try to see what he sees. And, as I get older, I am noticing that I'm a little bit more annoying. And my type A is coming out strong. And I like everything to be a certain way. And that's annoying. I got to take a break. So, recognize that you're not perfect and you're not, one that makes no mistakes. And keep talking. And the last thing that I have to say, unfortunately, is there are some marriages that just don't work. There are some people that cannot accept or forgive or move on from catastrophic things that have happened in their relationship. And I get it. I don't judge anybody, whether you stay or go. All I can advise to you is if you're in a relationship that you find super toxic and you're sticking around, all I could say is, don't stay for the kids, because you're creating an environment for that child that's teaching them the way a relationship should be, and it's so toxic. So that's all I have to say. If it's so bad that you are so unhappy morning, noon, and night, and you can't even see the light at the end of the tunnel, and you can't even see a glimmer of happiness or effort or whatever it is that's making you so upset, and it's carrying on into the house, and you have children of all ages. I'm not talking about just 2 and 3-year-olds. Don't think a 2-year-old doesn't realize and learn from seeing their parents. They're learning. They're learning everything. So get out and be done. And try to make that last effort. And if it doesn't work, then get out. Get divorced. Move on. Call it a day. Make a healthier environment for your children. And for yourself. Because who wants to live their life just because of their children? Your children are going to be happy at the end because they're going to see 2 happy people. And they're going to see mommy is happy and daddy is happy, or mommy and mommy, or dad, whatever the makeup is. Everyone's going to be happier without. So if you can't move on, and if this is the end of the line and you're tapping out, then do it in a calm way if you can. I know this sounds silly because even myself, I have been screaming at the top of my lungs, and I've been known to have thrown an object or two in my last millions of years. So it's not easy. It's not easy, but for the children, try to get out And when you realize that both people aren't trying at the same amount, at the same rate, and try to get out. And my last thing is, you know, I had some stuff done to me that hurt a lot. And I will never forget. I will never forget the pain that I have been in. It doesn't go away. I mean, it doesn't go away in meaning like it's still in my head and I won't ever forget how I felt. However, if you're going to forgive somebody, you got to kind of move past it because it's unhealthy for you. Like, I don't think about all the yucky things that he did and I did a long, long time ago when we were young. I don't think about that. It's there, but I don't think about it because it wouldn't be any help. And I feel like if you're going to move on and if you're going to be in this relationship, in a marriage, and you're going to forgive, then I'm not saying forget, but it needs to get pushed to the back and you need to really attempt to move on if that's your choice. Like I said, if you choose to run and divorce and be gone, also your choice. But anyway, so marriage versus job. Marriage, much harder. 100% marriage. Job is also tricky, but not even close. Anyway, let me know what you think. Job or marriage, harder. And maybe you were lucky and you have an easy dating relationship and courting and marriage, and you've never even really struggled. That's great. Maybe that's your story. Who knows? And maybe it's not. So that's all for tonight. And I hope you all have a fabulous day. And I hope that maybe I've reached out to somebody that maybe needs the push to try a little harder or the push to lawyer up and get out. But either way, take care of yourself and your children because they're innocent in all of this. And that's it. Have a great night.